Good afternoon. Welcome to today's special forum at the City Club of Cleveland. I'm Donald Cairns, immediate past president of the City Club Forum Foundation. The City Club of Cleveland has been a citadel of free speech since its founding 96 years ago. Forums for discussion and debate are brought to you weekly from the heart of downtown Cleveland. Today we are pleased to welcome as our speaker John Ging, Director in Gaza of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees. This agency was created in 1948 to support people who were displaced by the 1948 Arab-Israeli War and their descendants. It is the largest United Nations agency with over 25,000 total staff. As of 2004, there were 4 million Palestinian refugees registered with UNRWA. It has been criticized by Israeli officials and praised by the governments of Canada, Netherlands, Norway, and several Muslim countries. Gaza's history dates back to the 15th century BC, making it one of the oldest cities in the world. Its strategic location has meant that as the centuries of human history have unfolded, it has been invaded and conquered time and time again, with various cultures having their influence as it was part of or destroyed by the Egyptian, Greek, Roman, Israelite, Assyrian, Byzantine, Persian, Mongol, Ottoman, and French empires. If wars were not sufficient, Gaza has also been destroyed by an earthquake, floods, and the bubonic plague. It has not fared better in modern times. Since World War I, the British, Egypt, and then after the Six-Day War, Israel have ruled. The 1993 Oslo Accords provided for Palestinian administration under which the PLO and Fatah governed, though under Israeli military occupation until 2005. And in 2006, Hamas won an election victory. In 1948, as a result of the influx of refugees from the Arab-Israeli War, Gaza's population grew significantly. That year, when UNRWA was established to carry out direct relief for Palestine refugees. It was originally planned as a temporary organization. However, in the absence of a solution to the problem in the region, its mandate has repeatedly been renewed by the General Assembly, most recently extending it until 2011. So you have at least 2 years of a job. Gaza now has a population of 1.4 million people, over 3/4 of whom are registered refugees, living in a tiny area of 360 square kilometers. The Gaza Strip is unique among UNRWA's 5 areas. The majority of its population is refugees, and over half of them live in 8 camps. Those camps have some of the highest population densities in the world. For example, over 80,000 refugees live in the beach camp, whose area is less than 1 square kilometer. To put that into perspective for us, that would be an area from Lakeside to Prospect and Ontario to East 12th. Israel left Gaza in 2005, and after Hamas defeated Fatah, Egypt and Israel partially sealed their border crossings on the grounds that Hamas was a terrorist group. Egypt fears a spillover of Hamas-style militancy into Egypt. And in response to rocket attacks on southern Israel, the sanctions have been heightened. Israel has blocked foods and a range of items, including paper, crayons, toothpaste, and lentils. A spokesman for former Prime Minister Olmert stated, "We want to make sure that that reconstruction for the people of Gaza is not reconstruction for the Hamas regime." The U.S. State Department has said aid should never be used as a political weapon. Our speaker today, John Ging, is an Irish national and former officer in the Irish Army. After his military service, he became involved in international relief efforts through joining the Irish Aid Agency, GOAL, to oversee relief efforts in the wake of the Rwandan genocide, mostly in the Congo. He then worked for 8 years as Chief of Staff for the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and then a brief stint as head of the UN mission in Kosovo. Since 2006, he has led the UNRWA office in Gaza, where he oversees the UN's $400 million budget and 10,000 employee operation that provides basic needs to 750,000 refugees. In 2007, he survived an assassination attempt by unidentified gunmen. More recently, he gained international prominence during the 2008-9 Israeli offensive in Gaza as he warned of a humanitarian catastrophe unfolding and criticized Israel for targeting UN compounds and other buildings he described as non-military. With a ceasefire of sorts in place, the killing and extreme chaos is ended, at least for now. Please join me in giving a warm City Club welcome to John Ging.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and also to City Club for the privilege to be here today and the opportunity to speak to you, and of even more importance to answer your questions that you may have, because again I hope to take from this as well that opportunity to answer. You know, I come here from the Gaza Strip, which is a place that has been described of historical importance. But today in Gaza, of course, there are 1.5 million people who are living as the victims of conflict. I want to say that many people come to me and they tell me that it's a complicated issue, the Middle East, and they're right if you focus on the politics. But I always say back, it's quite simple if you focus on the consequences. And what we now need to do is we need to rehumanize what is happening in the Middle East, rather than being distracted exclusively by the complex politics. For the human beings in the Middle East, be they Palestinian or Israeli, in the first place, the consequences of the political failure, as my Secretary General has said, the last round of conflict was the product of collective political failure. The consequence of that collective political failure is that civilians in large number are being killed and injured and are having the prospects of a life, a dignified life, destroyed. I don't come here to advocate on behalf of just the Palestinians. I come here to advocate on behalf of all civilians who are the victims of this conflict. If we are to end this very provocative cycle of violence, and it's a spiral that is going downward and that is increasingly devastating for those civilians on both sides, then we have to get back to some simple facts, some simple truths, and to prioritize the rule of law. I don't come here to appeal to you from the humanitarian perspective. I come here to appeal to you from a humane and legal perspective. I want to put legality first in our considerations. We need policies that are based on the facts, not on rhetoric. I know that these are big things to say, but I'm prepared to substantiate them. Let's just give you an example of the detachment from reality, that the rhetoric has deceived us